You're watching ABC7 News at 7.
It becomes complicated trying to sort those things out and to understand, we're not always going to get reimbursed for everything from FEMA.
1 year after Hurricane Irma ripped through the Suncoast, some of us are still feeling the physical and financial impact. What can be learned for future storms? Good evening, everyone. I'm Jacqueline Matter, and welcome to ABC7 at 7. Alan Cohn has the night off. We'll have more on 1 year since Irma in a moment, but first, our top stories at 7. We are just under 2 months away from the midterm elections, and the amendments are now set. Florida voters will get a chance to ban commercial greyhound racing, but will not vote on a measure that could have led to the expansion of charter schools. The Florida Supreme Court decided in a series of rulings late last week. By a 4-3 vote, the court rejected Amendment 8, which would have imposed term limits on school board members, required civic literacy to be taught, and also taken away the exclusive power of local school boards to oversee charter schools. In another 6-1 vote, the court approved Amendment 13, which would ban commercial greyhound racing in the state after 2020. Opponents of the proposal say passage of this amendment will have a negative economic impact on the state.
The direct economic impact from the industry is over a $200 million a year gross at all the greyhound tracks. It's over $80 million alone in live betting.
A greyhound dies on a Florida track every 3 days. And truly, we know Florida voters care about dogs, they care about animals, and we feel confident they're going to vote for the dogs in November.
Each measure that makes the ballot must win approval from at least 60% of the voters to be enacted. Congressman Ron DeSantis announcing today he is resigning his seat immediately. The Republican says he will put all of his energy into his bid to become Florida's next governor. In a letter to House Speaker Paul Ryan, DeSantis wrote that, quote, it would be inappropriate for him to accept a House salary because he will miss most of the current congressional session due to campaigning. DeSantis asked that his resignation be retroactive to September 1st so that he would not be paid for the month. DeSantis is locked in a tight race against Democratic nominee Andrew Gillum. Well, police have identified a man found murdered in Port Charlotte on Saturday. Tyron Anthony Kennard was shot and found dead on Saturday in a remote area near the Charlotte County line. Police immediately determined that death was suspicious. They found his vehicle later in Port Charlotte and are now asking for any tips. If you have information on the murder of Kennard, call 941-429-7323. Well, test results confirm that many of the dead dolphins recovered last month on the Suncoast died from red tide exposure. Mote Marine Lab says 16 dead dolphins were found in Sarasota and Manatee waters during a 2-week span in August. Some of the carcasses recovered were highly decomposed, so it was difficult to get tissue samples. Mote says it performed necropsies on those dolphins and then sent tissue samples to an outside lab for detailed analysis. Mote tells us almost all animals recovered had stomachs full of fish, indicating those dolphins were exposed to red tide through their food.
It does take a while for that toxin to bioaccumulate up the food chain and reach the dolphins, which is why you might see kind of dolphins being affected a little bit later than sea turtles or manatees.
Mote Marine says the tissues were sent to a lab that processes red tide samples from throughout the state. That lab is currently receiving lots of samples, which is why it took several weeks to get back those results. And just a reminder, we have lots of information on our website to help you prepare for any hurricanes. Go to mysuncoast.com. Under the weather tab, you'll find a link to our 1-hour hurricane special, Surviving the Storm, and a printable 2018 hurricane guide. And speaking of hurricanes, let's check in with ABC7's chief meteorologist, Bob Harrigan. Bob, active in the tropics right now. Can you give us some more details?
Yeah, understatement, really active. It's extremely active, more active than I've ever seen it, really, in terms of the sheer number of storms that we are monitoring, areas of disturbed weather that we are monitoring. This one in particular just popped up over the last 24 hours in the Northwest Caribbean. This one typically is one that we have to worry about here on the West Coast, but not this one, I don't think, as it's forecast to move off to the northwest. So quite a bit of storm activity with it, and a Florence, a devastating storm potentially for the Carolina coast, it looks like now. Get a look at Florence. You can see a well-defined eye. It's gone from a 2 this morning at 5 a.m. to a 4 this afternoon at 5 p.m. p.m. So rapid intensification occurring as the models have suggested. Excellent outflow in all quadrants, high pressure over the top of it, allowing it to breathe. And on top of that, it's moving over very warm waters of the Atlantic now. Temperatures there mid to upper 80s. And here it is, the latest from the National Hurricane Center, 140 mile-an-hour winds. And it looks as though it's going to possibly get up to Category 5 status tomorrow afternoon. In fact, it's projected up to 155 mile-an-hour winds, gusts up to 190. So on the verge of becoming a 5. Wouldn't be surprised if it does so. And then again on Wednesday, we're looking for this to become still a major hurricane, maybe down a little bit due to some increased shear near the coast. The European forecast model suggesting that it will make landfall somewhere from South Carolina all the way up through parts of North Carolina. Still a very large spread, but an even bigger spread as to where it's going to go 2 days after that. Now you can see this particular model, and the Hurricane Center agrees that it could be anywhere within inside this cone of uncertainty. Could be down as far south as South Carolina, could all be up to Virginia or up toward, again, the Delmarva Peninsula. Now, the winds will go down if it makes landfall. The GFS forecast model, the latest one, is suggesting it's just going to hang out by the coast, and that would be a devastating storm in terms of rainfall as well. We're expecting the possibility of a 15-foot storm surge to the right of the center of movement there. And again, this area of yellow that you see there, that's greater than 10 inches. Some models are suggesting that you could see up to 2 feet of rainfall in that area. So just a devastating storm, and we'll be keeping a close watch on it. As well as Isaac, not expected to be too much of a storm, but it could become a player in determining where Florence ends up. So we'll watch that too, as some models are suggesting that it will move off to the north, and we'll see how that goes. Showers mainly inland. You want to follow these showers and storms. You want to follow all the hurricanes. You can download our weather app. Just go to your your app store and download WWSB First Alert Weather app, and you will get some have a valuable tool at your hand and your fingertips to track these storms. Jacqueline?
All right, thank you, Bob. Exactly 1 year ago, most of Sarasota and Manatee counties were hunkered down in their homes or shelters as Hurricane Irma ripped through our area. And the Suncoast is still feeling the physical and financial impact. ABC7's Erica Jackson shows us the damage Irma still has 1 year later after it hit.
They had the line going through Highlands County, now the line through Hardy and DeSoto County. Let's hope it doesn't keep going on into Sarasota and Manatee counties at this point, but there's a chance it could.
I was very afraid when I saw that big swirl coming. I was afraid for my life.
The Suncoast was prepared for a devastating Category 5 hurricane as Irma moved toward Florida's Gulf Coast. Doreen DuPont evacuated to Atlanta as a precaution, returning home to destruction.
My roof was pierced in many locations by the tree limbs that went flying. That was just the beginning of it.
She spent months managing the tarps on her roof to prevent further damage. Her homeowner's insurance paid $55,000 in repairs, but she's still dealing with the bills for the restoration of her driveway, awnings, landscaping, and dock. 1 year later, she still faces the emotional trauma.
I would try to turn to my support system, but most people in Sarasota didn't have the damage that I had.
Sarasota city and county staff say they can relate to DuPont. Both are still waiting to get reimbursed millions of dollars from FEMA, with the bulk of the cost coming from debris collection, after collecting 60,000 cubic yards in the city alone.
It can be as minor as, hey, we're FEMA still looking for an invoice.
Todd Kirkring is the city's emergency manager. He tells us he submitted 25 projects for reimbursement, from damage at parks to emergency roadwork costs. Right now, the city's looking out of state to find a contractor to repair the floors in the municipal auditorium, a major challenge since it's registered as a historic building.
It takes someone very special skills to fix those floors back to the original standard.
The timing of Irma didn't work in the city's favor either. Storm coverage started at the beginning of the city's pay period, and Irma was over by the time employees reached their 40 hours. The problem? FEMA only reimburses for overtime costs during active storm coverage.
It becomes complicated trying to sort those things out and to understand, we're not always going to get reimbursed for everything from FEMA.
On the county level, Emergency Management Chief Ed McCrane says it's still submitting individual documents to get reimbursed from FEMA. It's waiting for FEMA review on emergency projects like road repairs and hopes to take advantage of a grant program to make improvements before another storm hits.
We can possibly get some funding to make things a little bit more storm hardened for next time.
September 10th marks the peak of hurricane season. So Floridians like DuPont will have to deal with the aftermath of Irma while preparing for the potential threat of another hurricane.
And I didn't know how I was going to react when the next hurricane season came, and here it is.
Reporting in Sarasota, Erica Jackson, ABC7, your Suncoast News.
All right, thank you, Erica. Coming up next, an emergency management chief, an emergency manager, and our very own chief meteorologist here to discuss Irma and what we can expect moving forward. They're all waiting at the trapezoid.
We just finished dinner and it was time for homework. He hates homework.
It makes no sense.
I don't know how he finds anything in his backpack.
I can't find my backpack.
I couldn't even read his handwriting.
Holding the pencil makes my hand hurt.
I know he's bright.
Why is it so hard for me?
He's
I'm
just
trying
gotta
as
try a
hard
little
as
harder.
I can.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. Go to understood.org, a free online resource with support and tools to help your child thrive.
Sarasota Oxygen and CPAP is the largest locally owned CPAP supply company in the area. Is it time to replace your old equipment? The staff at Sarasota Oxygen and CPAP can show you the most up-to-date CPAP equipment and supplies to meet your sleep apnea needs, including portable travel devices and the SoClean automatic CPAP sanitizer. We serve all of Southwest Florida, giving the highest quality of care with the finest CPAP equipment. Please visit our website, sarasotacpap.com.
Did you know you could get life insurance for less than 32 cents a day? With guaranteed acceptance whole life insurance through TruStage, you can get up to $25,000 in protection with a single phone call, and you cannot be turned down for any reason. Even if you have health problems or are living on a fixed income, guaranteed acceptance whole life insurance policies could work for you with prices starting at less than 32 cents a day. That's as low as $9.40 a month. TruStage can help free your family from immediate financial stress when you're gone.
Utility bills, mortgages, car payments, those are a lot of things that can add up pretty fast.
My mom didn't have life insurance and the cost all fell on me. And that's expensive. We're still paying for that.
Yeah, we're still paying for that.
Call 1-800-218-4991 now. In one phone call, you can help prepare your family with protection amounts up to $25,000. There are no medical tests or health questions. And remember, you cannot be turned down for any reason. In fact, TruStage policies are already protecting over 18 million Americans. And rates are designed to be affordable, starting at less than 32 cents a day. That's as low as $9.40 a month. Plus, your price will never increase and your benefit will never decrease.
When I leave, everything will be taken care of for them.
Call 1-800-218-4991 now for a free, no-obligation quote. TruStage offers plans to fit your budget with prices starting at less than 32 cents a day. Help protect your family from immediate financial burdens after you're gone with guaranteed acceptance whole life insurance through TruStage. Call 1-800-218-4991 now.
Welcome back. Last year at this time, we were bracing for impact. It's been 1 year to the day since Hurricane Irma hit Florida, causing damage throughout the Sunshine State and billions of dollars in damages as well. Sarasota County and the city used your tax dollars to pay for emergency repairs and cleanup. Now the county is waiting to get back $8 million from FEMA, and the city plans to get reimbursed another $5 million. And it just so happens that today, September 10th, is also the peak of hurricane season. Here to discuss all that and more is our own Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan, the Emergency Management Chief for Sarasota County, Ed McCrane, and the Emergency Manager for the City of Sarasota, Todd Kirkering. And Bob, I want to start with you. It has been a year, and you've had decades of experience when it comes to hurricane coverage. Where did this storm stack up compared to other storms that you've had to deal with?
Well, I mean, as far as overall wide-reaching storm, this is probably the biggest that I've seen in terms of the west coast of Florida. Now, obviously, Charlie was a small, tightly compact storm. It didn't have that far-reaching impact as this one did, and this one was the scariest, I think, for most residents here, too, because of the enormity of it. I mean, it was a Category 5 for over 3 days, which is a record, and it was a major hurricane for much longer than that. It was also a record. So this one, we had a long time to look at it and watch it, and we knew we were going to be impacted by it. So it was high ranking as far as that goes, and I think it was number 1 in terms of fear factor for west coast of Florida.
Okay. And Ed, I wanted to ask you, Mr. McCrane, the county waiting to get back $8 million, the city waiting to get back another $5 million. What is the big chunk of that money from, and do you think you'll ever see any of that money?
Oh yeah, a lot of it has to do with the cost of sheltering residents, food, salaries for all the workers that did that, overtime, equipment, fuel, feeding, just all kinds of stuff. It's basically all in there. The county keeps really good records of everything that we do, and we have to submit that through the FEMA process and just wait. But keeping in mind there's 57 counties that are applying for this funding from Irma. They're still acquiring the funding from for Harvey and then Maria after that. So we don't expect to get it right away, but we've done everything that we need to do to get to that point.
Okay. And does it typically take this long to
It
get reimbursed?
typically takes a while. You can see these disasters when they build up, as many as we had last year with the several hurricanes, and then you can go into the winter storms up north, the wildfires out west. There's a lot of variety of things that go into place, and then when you look at just, again, the state of Florida with almost all of our counties being impacted, it does take a long time to put all that paperwork together.
On average, how long does it take to put the paperwork together and then to maybe even get reimbursed for all of those funds?
You're looking at up to a year, if not a little longer, to put the paperwork together, and then it might be a whole other year because you're trying to write your story of what took place, because the auditors that are involved with FEMA, they're not here in Florida. They could be anywhere in the country, and they're reviewing your story and is this a valid expense? So that's why you really have to go into the details and all the hundreds of pages of documentation.
Okay, all right. Well, our conversation on 1 year since Irma continues right after we get a check on our first alert weather forecast with Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan.
And when you guys say there's more hurricanes, the peak of hurricane season today, and there are many storms out there in the Atlantic, and this could become a major Category 5 hurricane by early as tonight or possibly tomorrow afternoon. It's rapidly developed. This is the visible satellite imagery. This is this morning right around 9. It even has multiple vortices in the center, indicating that the winds are so strong that it creates these little miniature spin-ups, if you will, right in the center of the storm, and conditions are favorable for this to strengthen even more. So it went from a 110-mile-an-hour storm this morning to 140 just this afternoon. You can see we have it right there. That is Florence, this is Isaac, and this is Helene behind it. We could have Joyce forming before long right here. This is heading off to the northwest, so as high pressure is over our state right now. That high pressure ridge, by the way, is protecting us from these storms at present. So let's hope it stays that way. Obviously, the main storm and the main threat to the United States is this devastating storm, Category 4 right now, 140-mile-an-hour winds. The center itself is well defined. You can see the stadium effect from this color-enhanced satellite imagery. However, what is happening here is the wind field is expanding now as it goes through these stages where it weakens, gets stronger, weakens, gets stronger. Each time it does that, the wind field gets larger and larger and larger. So this is going to be a big hurricane by the time it reaches the Carolina coast in a couple of days from now. It looks like the timing will be Thursday. As far as the forecast track and path goes from the National Hurricane Center, it's going to stay on this westerly to northwesterly course over the course of the next couple of days. 155-mile-an-hour winds tomorrow, gusts up to 190. The high pressure system above it will allow this system to get stronger. There's a little bit of shear expected here just around the Carolina coast, which could weaken it somewhat, but we're still expecting a major hurricane to hit the coast at a 90-degree angle angle, too. That's an important point. Normally, the storms that hit this coast usually are doing their bend already. This one isn't, it doesn't appear to be. It's going to move on directly, and that means a storm surge, a devastating storm surge of 15 feet or even higher could be felt along the Carolina coast and to the right of the center. Then once it gets over land, if it does indeed get over land, it's going to weaken down to a tropical storm, but that's not the big factor. The big factor is the rainfall, and there have been some forecast models that are suggesting over 2 feet of rain with this system in some isolated areas, and that will cause life-threatening floods throughout this region. This area that you see, this big circle, this means that the low-pressure center could be anywhere within inside this circle, too, over the 2 days. And as far as water temperatures go, they are very warm throughout the region and throughout the path of where Florence is going to be traveling. So that's not going away. This is just the European forecast rain, and you can see plus 10 inches in that area of yellow that you see right through Raleigh and getting close to Richmond. And that could change depending upon the future path as well. Now down to our south, this would be a storm that we'd have to kind of be concerned with, but there's a lot of shear expected in the Caribbean, and so it doesn't appear this is going to have much of a chance to hang on to a hurricane status. It will become a tropical storm more than likely, but the models are most of them causing it to bend off to the north here, which could play a role in determining where Florence could go down the road. So that'll be an important thing to watch. I want to show you this one more graphic. This is the GFS. So that was Thursday. This is Friday. This is Saturday, Sunday, and even into Monday, still hanging around the Carolina coast. That would be the worst case scenario. Obviously, it would just dump copious amounts of rainfall. Could be Harvey-like if that were the case. So a lot remains to be seen with this storm. East winds turn to the northwest at 5 to 10 knots. Seas will be 1 to 2 feet. And as far as the 7-day forecast goes, a slight chance we'll have those late day storms coming back toward the coast. The wind shift change will occur. And then these forecasts here will be dependent upon the future path and movement of Florence. But right now, a good chance for scattered storms. We'll be right back talking Irma right after this.
You like to pay less. That's why you made Honda Accord the best-selling mid-size car in America. Get the redesigned Accord, the North American Car of the Year, or Civic, a KBB.com Best Buy for less than the competition. Like SUVs and trucks? Get Motor Trend's SUV of the Year, CRV, the 8-passenger Pilot, or Ridgeline truck for up to $4,240 less today at your local Honda dealer.
When you are home alone, an emergency can become a tragedy. However, with any of Life Alert's 3 emergency systems, help can be summoned immediately, whether in the bathroom,
I've fallen in the shower.
at home,
Help! I've fallen and I can't get up.
and on the go.
Help! I've fallen in the park and I can't get up.
Don't worry, help is on the way.
Life Alert saves a life every 11 minutes.
For a free Life Alert brochure, call 1-800-518-0221. That's 1-800-518-0221. Call now, 1-800-518-0221. For a free brochure, call 1-800-518-0221.
Excuse me a minute. Hi, Dad. No, don't try to get up.
Hi, I'm Julie, a right-at-home caregiver. And if I'd been caring for Tom's dad, I would have noticed some dizziness that could lead to balance issues. That's because I'm trained to report any changes in behavior, no matter how small. So Tom could have peace of mind.
We'll be right there. We have to go.
Hey, Tom, you should try Right at Home. They're great for us.
The right care, right at home.
Call to see if you qualify to enroll in a Medicare Advantage plan right now. At Humana, we believe great things are ahead of you when you start with healthy. And part of staying healthy means choosing the right Medicare plan. Humana can help. With Original Medicare, you're covered for hospital stays and doctor office visits when you're sick, but keep in mind you'll have to pay a deductible for each. A Medicare supplement plan can cover your deductibles and coinsurance, but you may pay higher premiums than you do with other plans, and prescription drug coverage isn't included. But with an all-in-one Humana Medicare Advantage plan, you could get all that coverage plus Part D prescription drug benefits, all for an affordable monthly plan premium, and in some areas, no plan premium. It's all described in this free book. Call for yours and discover how an all-in-one Medicare Advantage plan from Humana could save you money. There is no obligation and the book is free. Call or go online right now.
Welcome back. It's been 1 year since Hurricane Irma hit Florida, and here on the Sun Coast, some are still feeling the physical and financial impact. Here to discuss all that and more, our Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan, the Emergency Management Chief for Sarasota County, Ed McCrane, and the Emergency Manager for the City of Sarasota, Todd Kirkering. Now, Mr. McCrane, I wanted to ask you how much damage is still out there in Sarasota County, and then how does that compare to Manatee County?
Oh, well, you know, it's hard to tell. A lot of it has been already taken care of by the residents through their homeowners insurance. Sarasota County Public Works and Road and Bridge have taken care of the emergency road patching and things that needed to be taken care of. The debris was picked up first and second pass, so the majority of it is done. There may be some additional, maybe private homeowners that have blue tarps that haven't got a chance to get their roof repaired, but for the most part, I don't have an exact figure on what the status of that is right now.
Okay, and Todd, for you, for the City of Sarasota, when you look at how it stacks up to Miami or the Keys and how they got hit, how would you say on a scale we kind of compare to them?
Oh, we were very lucky with the impacts that we had here. I mean, it was looking at very, very bad that Sunday evening to by Monday morning, we got extremely lucky. And, you know, in rating it, you know, I'd say, you know, we were in the 3 range as far as what could have happened to us. And, you know, and when you dig deep into it, and, you know, we're looking at countywide in the city, you know, 2 to 3 months to pick up the debris. Other places further south, they said it might be over a year. So we were very fortunate, you know, in the impacts that took place, and it gave us a lot of good experience for the next one.
Okay, and Bob, what sticks out most for you when it comes to Irma? When you look back at today, a year ago, what sticks out the most?
What sticks out most is the fact that we dodged a bullet, like you said. I mean, it was amazing that we were potentially dealing with a Category 4 hurricane versus what we really saw is a tropical storm for the most part. Folks who think they went through a hurricane or Category 2 or Category 1, they didn't. What that means is that we have a kind of a false sense of what those storms are, and we've learned that in the past, that people who thought they went through a hurricane based on their address, they really didn't. They got the outskirts of a storm. So I don't want people to, you know, think, oh, I went through a 2. It wasn't too bad. No, a 2 compared to a tropical storm is not just 2 times stronger, it's 20 times stronger. It's exponentially stronger as far as damage goes and the damage potential. So what sticks out is that we got lucky, a real break, in that it hit Cuba and kind of weakened it. Some dry air trained into it, and it went up the spine of the state, basically from Marco Island, as opposed to hitting us directly. And so it would have been a much worse storm. And I think people have to come to an understanding too that you have to have a plan. I think a lot of people learned last year that if they didn't have a plan, that made them feel uncomfortable. You know, they may have made wrong decisions. They may have left the state when they shouldn't have, or you know, they may have stayed where they shouldn't have, and they got lucky. You know, if it would have stayed on the Gulf and would have hit some of these places where people stayed, it could have been devastating with a big storm surge.
Awesome. All right. Well, some great points there. Thank you, Bob. Well, we're just getting warmed up. Our conversation on 1 year since Irma will continue after a quick break.
Attention. Do you have Medicare? Do you want to make sure you have the most benefits and lowest possible out-of-pocket costs? You may be able to lower your out-of-pocket costs and get dental, vision, and prescription drug coverage included in your plan. Call the Medicare Coverage Helpline now to find out what you deserve.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jason Buchwald. Over 3 million people have called the Medicare Coverage Helpline, but there are still many people who don't check to see if they're eligible for more benefits and lower out-of-pocket costs. It's so easy. One simple free call could save you money and get you more benefits. Be smart. Call the Medicare Coverage Helpline now.
Call now to see if you may be eligible to lower your copays and get extra benefits, including dental and prescription coverage. Don't delay. Call to see if you're able to save money and get more benefits now. Call 1-800-711-7200. Again, call 1-800-711-7200 now.
Did you know you could get life insurance for less than 32 cents a day? With guaranteed acceptance whole life insurance through TruStage, you can get up to $25,000 in protection with a single phone call. TruStage can help free your family from immediate financial stress when you're gone.
Utility bills, mortgages, car payments, those are a lot of things that can add up pretty fast.
And even if you're on a fixed income, prices fit your budget, starting at less than 32 cents a day. Plus, your price will never increase and your benefit will never decrease. And with no medical tests or health questions, you cannot be turned down for any reason. Call 1-800-842-7189. Now, for a free, no-obligation quote, TrueStage offers plans to fit your budget. Help protect your family from immediate financial burdens after you're gone with guaranteed acceptance whole life insurance through TrueStage. Call 1-800-842-7189 now.
Gettle's got what you're looking for at Gettle.com. 17 new car brands, over 1,000 used vehicles, prices and payments you can afford. Credit help if you need it, and they pay cash for your old car. Plus, Gettle Pre-Owned Certified Plus means buying with peace of mind. Need service? Gettle's got that too. Gettle's got it. Visit Gettle.com.
About every 3 minutes in America, someone is diagnosed with a blood cancer. Light the Night brings together survivors and supporters to bring light to the darkness of cancer and to help fund life-saving research. Our goal is a world without blood cancers, and we're lighting the path to cures. The discoveries made in blood cancer research have led to breakthrough treatments for many cancers and other serious diseases. Help defeat the darkness of cancer. Join Light the Night today.
There's a lot of fear in coming back to school. I'm a 40-year-old man that walked in there to get his high school diploma. It was very hard for me, but one of the teachers was Miss Araceli. She gave me direction. Every single time I had a question, she'll put down whatever she's doing and she'll sit there with you until you get it. 50% of getting your high school diploma is walking through those doors. The other 50% is doing the work.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
You're watching ABC7 News at 7:30.
Welcome back. If you can believe it, it has been a year since Hurricane Irma hit Florida, and even 365 days later, some are still feeling the physical and financial impact. Here to discuss all that and more, our Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan, the Emergency Management Chief for Sarasota County, Ed McCrane, and the Emergency Manager for the City of Sarasota, Todd Kirkering. And Bob, you kind of touched on it a few moments ago, but how difficult was it to forecast this hurricane? You know, one moment it was going up the East Coast, and then it was up the West Coast, and a lot of people didn't have the time that we normally would have to prepare for a hurricane.
Well, the thing is with the forecasting, people, if you read up on it right now, you'll find out that the forecasts for that storm were really quite good. I mean, the percentage of them falling within inside that cone of uncertainty was outstanding, the National Hurricane Center is saying. The problem is that little error of 70 to 80 miles on either side meant East Coast or West Coast of Florida. So it was waffling back and forth in between there, but that's really a quite accurate forecast when you look back and you do some hindsight forecasting on it. So in reality, the National Hurricane Center did quite well. It's just the fact that it was moving up either on the East Coast or the West Coast made it difficult for a lot of people to plan their escape routes. And so that was the strangest thing about it, is the fact that it hit us in that direction. One that comes from the East or one that comes from the West, you can pretty much guess who's going to get it. It's easy, but one that's going to make a turn right into the state, it's difficult to pinpoint exactly where it's going to do that. And that was the difficult part of making that forecast for Irma.
Right, and Mr. McCrane, and for you, Todd, as well, any changes to get debris picked up faster? I know you had mentioned it took a few months, but nothing compared to what it was in the Keys. But a lot of people here in our area were concerned because they felt like that debris was just not getting picked up quick enough. Have you guys worked on any plans for that?
Yes, here in the city, what we did this year was that we were up for a renewal of our debris contractor, and instead of selecting one, we selected 3 different debris contractors to have them all under contract. So we realized, with the impacts of Harvey and the other things so widespread, that it would just made better sense to us to say not one, but let's get 3, and hopefully between the 3, we're going to get full crews in order to accomplish the task.
Okay, and was
that
the
very
same?
Similar, based on what happened with Irma, with a lot of resources being in Harvey, and 57 counties all trying to get that resource pickup, we realized that it could be a problem again with a similar storm track. So we also have multiple contracts. We looked at buying some of our equipment Because one of the things Sarasota County did during the storm was, or after the storm, is we went out and rented 5 of those grapple trucks, and our own crews drove them. So we're looking at all those possibilities to make it better next time.
What have the discussions been like with companies like FPL? I know the widespread outages were a huge concern for many across the Suncoast as well. Is there anything that you guys have improved on in regards to FPL and making sure that people have power?
I think our relationships, we've gotten closer and tighter with them, worked out a couple of the smaller issues, we needed crews there, not necessarily to make the repair, but to make it safe for our crews to say, cut the trees out of the road. Well, when there's a power line wrapped up in between, it's unsafe for our people. So, we've worked out a lot of those issues with FP&L to say, have those immediate crews. And then it's the support. And then again, with such widespread from the Keys throughout the state, a lot of their contract support from the other states were already in Texas for Hurricane Harvey, and then everyone heading down to the Caribbean. So resources were tight, and you just had to be able to manage them, and you always are looking, for the life safety and the property preservation issues first.
Is there anything that kind of stood out that when you look back, in the moment, it didn't seem like something that you would have thought of, but now after you guys have reviewed some of your hurricane plans, that stood out that you wish you would have known maybe then, but you do now?
Well, I think one of the biggest things we learned was how the public reacts and where the public finds their information. A lot of people were Googling, on Google there's sheltering and finding old information, not going to the right places. So we've redirected that. We asked everybody to go to scgov.net. All the hurricane evacuation shelter information's there. There's a one-stop shop for information. And our interaction with the media, getting that information out to the public was, I think, one of the biggest things.
And another thing is that, the evacuation, people realize that this is a big storm. And so people evacuated that maybe didn't need to. So I just got off the phone with someone who called and interested in watching this program tonight. She was outside the evacuation zone. She got nervous late, and was trying to figure out how to get to a shelter. She was east of I-75, and I told her, listen, you're east of I-75, you're more than likely not going to be in an evacuation zone, so you shelter in place. If you don't want to shelter in place, then you should get out of the state if that's your decision, right? If you want to go to a shelter, you can, but you got to do that early. You can't wait until the storm's on you to make those decisions. So make sure you have that in your plan. Know what you're going to do when the storm's coming, and realize that storms' intensities can change rapidly. We saw that right now with Florence out there. Florence is now gone from a Category 2 to a 4. We saw that with Charlie go from a 2 to a 4. And so you're thinking, well, now it's a 4. I better call the EOC and see if I can get to a shelter. It may be too late by then. So just plan for the worst. Know if you're going to hunker down that your building or your dwelling can withstand those strong winds. Make your plans now. Know what zone you live in and what level of evacuation zone you live in.
Certainly some great information there. Thank you, Bob. Now, what has changed in regards to the county or the city to prepare for the next major storm?
I'll let Ed go first, because a lot of our stuff follows in with him based on some of their decisions.
Okay.
Well, we did an after-action review. We brought in the former FEMA administrator, Craig Fugate, who had recently retired, and we looked at what did we do well. We had our city partners and all of our response partners come in, and we ended up with 93 recommendations on things we could improve, things that we could change. So we've changed some of our terminology. Evacuation zones are now evacuation levels. Hurricane shelters are evacuation centers. We've decided to open 11 evacuation centers at the same time instead of in tiered openings like we did before. They're already identified. Educating the public on who can stay home, what does it mean if your home is safe, how to determine that. We also talked about a transportation process for people that don't have a car. So we have a process now where people can go online and register. We've done some modifications to our medical needs, special needs sheltering for people that really need that. We had 800 people register or try to register with 3 days up to the storm. And that really put a lot of pressure on the system. So we've asked people, get registered, be part of that program if that's what you need. So a lot of work and a lot of work with our partners to take a look at. And those 93 recommendations are about 85–90% complete. The rest are in progress.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you guys so much. Well, we have to take a quick break. We'll have our final thoughts when we return.
I heard about the Dotoli Cancer Center through friends of mine who had been treated here and were very pleased with the treatment.
If there is prostate cancer, we at the Dotoli Cancer Center will find it using 3D color flow Doppler ultrasound.
And that helped precisely identify where my cancer was. I can tell you that you will not find a finer, more professional team of clinicians anywhere in the world.
Call to see if you qualify to enroll in a Medicare Advantage plan right now. At Humana, we believe great things are ahead of you when you start with healthy. And part of staying healthy means choosing the right Medicare plan. Humana can help. With Original Medicare, you're covered for hospital stays and doctor office visits when you're sick, but keep in mind you'll have to pay a deductible for each. A Medicare supplement plan can cover your deductibles and coinsurance, but you may pay higher premiums than you do with other plans, and prescription drug coverage isn't included. But with an all-in-one Humana Medicare Advantage plan, you could get all that coverage plus Part D prescription drug benefits, all for an affordable monthly plan premium, and in some areas, no plan premium. It's all described in this free book. Call for yours and discover how an all-in-one Medicare Advantage plan from Humana could save you money. There is no obligation and the book is free. Call or go online right now.
All across America, there are kids going hungry. It sounds crazy, but it's real. It's also a problem we're fixing. Kids who rely on school meals need help in the summer. That means neighborhood meal sites that are easy to get to and free for every kid. When you make breakfast part of a school day, a lot more kids get the chance to eat. These programs work. Over the past few years, 1/3 fewer children in the United States are facing hunger. Let's make No Kid Hungry a reality.
I'll be right back. Hi! You think you're probably sober?
Yeah.
But you're thinking about taking the back roads home, just in case. If you're probably sober, then why would you do that? Good choice.
Probably okay isn't okay. If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.
That's a full glass of wine. I'll be chatting you later.
Every day, we take steps to keep the people we love safe. But some health risks are easy to miss. Ticks hiding in the yard can spread germs, like the ones that cause Lyme disease. Mice searching for food can spread bacteria that makes us sick. Mosquitoes lay eggs in standing water and can spread West Nile virus and more. Cockroaches are drawn to water in the home, leaving behind allergens that can trigger asthma attacks. Common pests can threaten our health. Learn how to protect your family at pestworld.org.
Welcome back. Our guests join us for final thoughts. And Bob, I wanted to start with you. It is the peak of hurricane season. What are the lessons learned and what do you want people to know moving forward?
Lessons learned is a lot of new people have moved down here over the past 10 years, and we really haven't had a big impact as far as hurricanes go. We had a tropical storm for the most part last year, but it's devastating. It can be devastating, and anything can happen. That's one thing, anything can happen with these storms. Like we're seeing right now with Florence. There's a chance that storm could stay off the Carolina coast right near it for 4 or 5 days, or as the European suggestion, going in as a Category 4 or possibly 5 hurricane. And there are storms that can do all sorts of different things. We saw Charlie make that turn to the right, where it could have been a big deal for. So the point is be prepared and don't think the models have it down pat. They don't, and they won't ever know exactly where the storm is going to go. So have a plan and activate that plan when the warning's put in effect, and know what you're going to do and know how to ride a storm out. The biggest part of a storm, by the way, isn't the wind and the rain and the storm surge. The biggest part is trying to deal with the after effects of a hurricane after it moves through. So remember, it's not easy, it's not fun, and it can be devastating.
All right, and for you, Mr. McCrane, any final thoughts?
Well, I think Bob covered it very well, and I would tell people, don't forget, we're just at the peak of hurricane season. We still have a lot of time to go. Anything can happen. I would say be prepared, have a kit. Stay informed by watching your local media channels, not the big national channels, because you guys work with us directly and you know what the information that we're providing to the public. And for Sarasota County, go to scgov.net to hurricane preparedness, and we have all the information you need to be prepared right there.
All right, and for you, Todd?
Yep, and I'd like to focus, the key thing is having that plan. Where are you going to go? We had a lot of people that were waiting on a school near them to open, which it was never going to open. You know, the county has the 11 shelters, know the ones that they're going to open, understand that it's pet friendly. We look at, how well are you looking at things ahead of time? Are you taking care of the vegetative growth around your house? Are you updating your insurance policies? Do I need flood insurance? Those are all the little things, and then making sure that someone out of the area knows where you're going, because we were inundated at the police department with calls. Do you know where my grandmother went to? And it's like, no. Where did they go? We can go by their home, but we don't know exactly where they're at. So it's like keeping people informed of your plan also is very important.
Awesome. All right, thank you so much for both of us for joining us, and also thank you to Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan, who joined us this evening. Coming up next, we also want to thank Chief Ed McCrane and the emergency manager for the city of Sarasota, Todd Kickering, for joining us tonight. When we return, Bob Woodward's book, Fear, Trump in the White House, coming out tomorrow, and President Trump speaking out against that book and the quotes printed in it. What is the president saying? Right now, let's get a final check on our first alert forecast with Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan.
Busy, busy, busy as always with the September 10th date. Right now, high pressure has kind of shifted down to our south right now. This high pressure ridge is going to move back northward, it looks like, throughout the day tomorrow. That will bring us more of an east to northeast wind, which will start to favor some storms moving from inland areas toward the coast. Also, it will take that red tide back offshore a little bit, at least the harmful impacts. Red tide has never left. We talked about that last week. It's still out there, obviously. It's weakened in some areas, but it's still out there, and it still poses a problem, and it could be getting even worse. Late summer, early fall is when it really starts to bloom. So we'll keep an eye on that for you. That high pressure ridge to the north may get bumped back down by Florence and change everything up by later this week too. So some inland storms mainly pushing off to the northeast. That's what we're seeing, and there's a chance for some late night showers near the coast, but we'll get back into that normal pattern tomorrow, but the rain chances won't be all that high. There's one lone shower that just popped up just southeast of Venice, another one just to the west of Siesta Key, so a slight chance for a few pop-up showers through this evening. Well, look at this. This is amazing. We've got this little low. You can see it spinning right here. It's non-tropical in nature, but could gain tropical characteristics. They give it a 50% chance of developing into the next named system. This one's going to be a well-behaved storm, we do believe. This is Helene, which will stay out in the open waters of the Atlantic. And this is Isaac. Although disorganized right now, it could get a little bit better organized as it moves toward the islands here, and could have an impact as a Category 1 hurricane. We don't expect any kind of big-time intensification with it, although there is one model that is suggesting that. And then Florence, obviously the big story. And then we have this northwest area of the Caribbean, an area of disturbed weather just popped up within the last 24 hours, really, and it looks rather impressive on the eastern side there. It's expected to move off toward Texas and Louisiana, so it should stay away from our coast. This is the rainfall forecast. This is what I'm concerned about most right now, I think, besides the extreme storm surge they could see. If it sits around there for a few days, it's going to be unbelievable as far as that rain goes and the flooding concerns there along the Carolina coast and even up into Virginia. This is Isaac. Typically this time of year we'd be worried about this storm, but since there's going to be some shear here, quite a bit of it in the Caribbean in day 4 and 5, we think it will be downgraded to a tropical storm. And there's some of the forecast models. Some of them keep it on a west-northwesterly course, like the Canadian model right here, while others bend it off into the Atlantic. This is the European forecast model, also the Navy model, and it looks like as well as the UK Met takes it off, even missing Puerto Rico at that point. So there's a lot of uncertainty with Isaac, but right now the best guess is off toward the west. Now this is the GFS forecast. I showed you this earlier. This is Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, just hanging there just off the Carolina coast, and Monday even into Tuesday. Just kind of moving through there, and that would be a devastating storm as well, even if it doesn't make a landfall directly as a Category 4 storm. This one has a 50% chance developing as it moves off toward Texas, and it looks as though the European forecast model does take, looks like Florence inland into the Carolinas, while Isaac goes off toward the west and kind of opens up into a tropical low, maybe a tropical wave heading off to the west. So a lot can happen. We'll keep you up to date right here on ABC7. East winds turn to the northwest tomorrow, 5 to 10 knots for boaters out there. Seas will be running 2 feet or less with a light chop. The extended forecast then, a chance for a few late day storms tomorrow. Will still warm to near 90 degrees all the days, all the way through the next 7. A chance for showers and storms again on Wednesday. We may see a reversal of that pattern back to inland storms beginning Thursday and Friday, depending upon what Florence does to our north, so stay tuned for that. Jacqueline will be right back after this.
If you think it's hot outside, just wait until you see even hotter savings inside. Only at Rugs As Art Hot Summer Savings Sale event will you find the lowest prices on a vast selection of stunning rugs, furniture accents, and accessories. This special event only happens once a year, so hurry in before the best selections are gone. The Hot Summer Savings event ends soon, so don't miss out on the best prices ever. Rugs As Art, Sarasota's only area rug superstore.
Did you know you could get life insurance for less than 32 cents a day? With guaranteed acceptance whole life insurance through TruStage, you can get up to $25,000 in protection with a single phone call, and you cannot be turned down for any reason. Even if you have health problems or are living on a fixed income, guaranteed acceptance whole life insurance policies could work for you with prices starting at less than 32 cents a day. That's as low as $9.40 a month. TruStage can help free your family from immediate financial stress when you're gone.
Utility bills, mortgages, car payments, those are a lot of things that can add up pretty fast.
My mom didn't have life insurance and the cost all fell on me. And that's expensive. We're still paying for that.
Yeah, we're still paying for that.
Call 1-800-218-4991 now. In one phone call, you can help prepare your family with protection amounts up to $25,000. There are no medical tests or health questions. And remember, you cannot be turned down for any reason. In fact, TruStage policies are already protecting over 18 million Americans. And rates are designed to be affordable, starting at less than 32 cents a day. That's as low as $9.40 a month. Plus, your price will never increase and your benefit will never decrease.
When I leave, everything will be taken care of for them.
Call 1-800-218-4991 now for a free, no-obligation quote. TruStage offers plans to fit your budget with prices starting at less than 32 cents a day. Help protect your family from immediate financial burdens after you're gone with guaranteed acceptance whole life insurance through TruStage. Call 1-800-218-4991 now.
Gettle's got what you're looking for at Gettle.com. 17 new car brands. Over 1,000 used vehicles. Prices and payments you can afford. Credit help if you need it. And they pay cash for your old car. Plus, Gettle Pre-Owned Certified Plus means buying with peace of mind. Need service? Gettle's got that too. Gettle's got it. Visit Gettle.com.
Checking in on primetime headlines, we are just hours away from Bob Woodward's book on the Trump White House being released. There are quotes of members of Trump's cabinet speaking out against the president, and the commander-in-chief is not happy about it. ABC's Karen Travers explains what President Trump is saying leading up to the release of that book.
The new book from Bob Woodward, which paints a scathing portrait of the White House, seems to really have gotten under President Trump's skin and prompted an early morning tweet storm. President Trump on Twitter this morning, slamming the explosive new book by veteran Washington reporter Bob Woodward, calling it a joke. He says Woodward relied on now disproven unnamed and anonymous sources and added that many have come forward to say the quotes attributed to them are fiction. By 9 a.m. Monday, the president had tweeted 3 times specifically about the book, including one post where he calls Woodward a liar and compares him to a Democratic operative. The president insists the White House is running beautifully and is a smooth-running machine. Mr. Trump also seems to tee up a future presidential memoir, writing, quote, "I'll write the real book." The White House slammed Woodward's reporting methods as careless and reckless. Press Secretary Sarah Sanders noting that Chief of Staff John Kelly and Defense Secretary James Mattis issued strong denials about the quotes attributed to them.
Which seems incredibly reckless for a book to make such outrageous claims, to not even take the time to get a $10 fact checker to call around and verify that some of these quotes were happening.
Woodward was asked today by NBC News about Mattis and Kelly's pushback.
They are not telling the truth. These people, these are political statements to protect their jobs, totally understandable.
Sarah Sanders was asked if the White House would put together a list of everything they think is wrong with the book to back up its claims that Woodward is a liar. Sanders said that would be a complete and utter waste of time. Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
Longtime CBS chief executive Les Moonves stepping down. His resignation comes after new claims of sexual misconduct. A bombshell report in the New Yorker last month detailed allegations of sexual harassment and misconduct against Moonves. He has admitted that he may have made some women uncomfortable, but he insisted that he ultimately respected no means no. One of his accusers speaking out earlier today.
Right after he appeared naked, he came running into my office and did this whole thing about that I didn't send a memo to anybody, and then he picked me up and threw me against the wall. I mean, I just lay on the floor and cried. I mean, I didn't know what was going to happen to me.
On a possible settlement, he stands to earn upward of $100 million on his way out, although part of that money could go towards the Me Too movement. After his resignation was announced last night, CBS and Moonves pledged $20 million to organizations that support women in the workplace. The manslaughter charge against a Dallas police officer accused of fatally shooting a man in his own apartment could be upgraded. It's a bizarre case that right now has more questions than it does answers. Officer Amber Geiger and the man who killed Botham Shem Jean live in the same apartment complex. Police say Geiger told them that she returned to what she thought was her apartment after her shift on Thursday. She was still in uniform. Geiger said she encountered Jean and at some point shot him, but it was actually his apartment and she had somehow mistaken it for hers. Geiger was arrested yesterday on a manslaughter charge. The DA says that charge could be upgraded when her office presents the case to a grand jury.
We're continuing our investigation, and the grand jury will be that entity that will make the final decision in terms of the charges that will be that will come out of this case.
She was released from jail that evening after posting a $300,000 bond. Tonight, singer-songwriter Olivia Newton-John is battling cancer for the third time in 3 decades. The 69-year-old Australian star revealed the newest diagnosis during an interview last night. She was first diagnosed with breast cancer in 1992 and became an advocate for screening. In 2013, she was diagnosed with a new breast cancer that spread to her shoulder. The third and most recent diagnosis was in 2017 for cancer at the base of her spine. Newton-John turns 70 in just a few weeks. Well, that's all the time we have for this evening. I'm Jacqueline Matter. Thanks for joining us. Alan Cohn will be back tomorrow. Have a great and wonderful evening.